What's up, you guys? It's Butters back again with another YouTube video. Sorry I took a little break. I was on vacation, but I'm back. First day of the week that I traded. It is Tuesday, October 21st. I took a nice long entry this morning that I'll break down for you guys. But first things first, let's go over the expectations coming into the morning, how price delivered, as well as what I took for my trade. So let's get right into the charts. As you guys know, the most important things to me coming into AM session open are one, the daily opening price. That is 6 p.m. Eastern time. That tells me the opening of the daily candle. And what is the most important part to me about that is to break it down from a daily profile perspective, right? Obviously, every candle has either a open high low close or a open low high close. So given that 6 p.m. open, I can see the opening price where we might manipulate to, the expansion leg, and then the closure of the daily candle. As you guys know, I first start my higher time frame charting with the 4-hour chart. As you can see here, the obvious things stick out to me and should stick out to you are these relative equal highs on the 4-hour, as well as this expansion leg that we provided on Monday, in which we would watch for a retracement back into discount to then catch more expansion into this buy side liquidity. To make sure that I was getting on side with a fair retracement given this expansion leg, what I did coming into AM session open was measure out this expansion leg to see where discount falls, where OTE falls, to then, make sure that I'm not catching a retracement setup with a lower time frame confirmation too early as well as too late. If I take my fib from the low of this candle to the high of the swing, this being the one leg, right? Swing low into the swing high. As you can see, right here is where equilibrium rests and OTE falls shortly below it. I understand that we have two 4-hour PD arrays here. We have two 4-hour BISTs, but the lower one plays more of an importance to me because it is resting at equilibrium and the low in the middle of it is in discount. If we drill down to a lower time frame, for which this is the hourly, you can see we put in a swing low here in London, which some might be able to expect a London reversal into New York continuation, but I thought that we might seek lower into the 4-hour because the London reversal is still in premium. Yes, I understand that it did take some equal lows here, but it wasn't getting the pop back up that you would anticipate for more expansion into New York AM session. We had an internal SMT with this high here that was generated overnight in the session. So I was anticipating these lows to get ran potentially into the 4-hour to then provide a bullish SMT to seek higher prices. If we hop over to ES real quick, you guys can see here that ES had a lot more sideways price action coming into AM session open. So given the weakness on NQ, I could expect that NQ would dig into a lower PD array to provide a bullish SMT given that there was a weaker asset. A lot of the times when there is a weaker or a stronger asset and you're given more than one PD array on the higher time frame to expect a reaction out of, you can anticipate the leading of the two, meaning the one who is seeking the drawn liquidity at a faster or quicker rate to trade into the lower or more efficiently priced PD array to then provide you with that SMT. Drilling down to an even lower time frame, I have you guys the 15-minute chart right here. Here is 9:30 opening price, and when we saw 9:30 spool lower, I was anticipating that 4-hour fair value gap to be the drawn liquidity. As you can see from the chart, we had a perfect delivery into that 4-hour, into discount, and then we got a reaction from it. Drilling down to an even lower time frame, here is the 5-minute where I spend a lot of my time on in the mornings. As you can see, 9:30 opening price, choppy delivery lower, validates this first bearish PD array, trades lower, takes this internal low, but does not quite yet trade into that 4-hour. And in this instance, what I'm thinking to myself is, yes, I understand that NQ is weaker, so it's going to take more lows, but I don't want to get onside with this delivery too early. I had that higher time frame PD array pointed out to myself, and I told myself I'm not concerned with any of the price action unless we deliver to that, right? I want to get onside with the higher time frame movement to then align myself with the lower time frame movement, but I first need to wait for that higher time frame PD array to be engaged with to then find something on the lower time frame. We got beautiful delivery into the 4-hour here with this aggressive candle that was reclaimed almost instantly, right? And so with this delivery here, I pointed out the bullish SMT. As you can see, we traded into this 4-hour fair value gap at 10.25. If we flip over to ES, the same movement at 10.25 was this candle right down here. As you can see here, the 4-hour fair value gap was traded to on NQ and not ES, and that stuck out to me, right? We have the 4-hour resting with this high here. And if you align that with the higher time frame SMT, you can look at a lower time frame SMT here, in which we had these 10 a.m. lows that did not get rated on ES. Flip back over to NQ, the 10 a.m. low got rated on NQ. So right now, what I'm thinking at 10:30 when we get this reaction is, I'm not concerned with this fair value gap here at all for more continuation lower. Price has told me higher time frame SMT aligned with a lower time frame SMT. Now I simply just need the invalidation of a PD array on the sell side to align myself with some sort of long entry. So this 5-minute SIBI here, at this point, I am not expecting this to reject. I don't care if it rejects. If it does, I'd be watching for another internal SMT. But given that we have the 2 SMTs already, I am anticipating this to invalidate to then get on side with some sort of long setup on the lower time frame. As you can see here, the first candle as well as the second candle that traded into this 5-minute SIBI both rejected. But while we were trading within that 5-minute SIBI, we formed a 5-minute BISI. Okay, as I preach to you guys time and time again, if I am looking for something to inverse, but we fail to do that while creating a PD array that supports my bias on the right-hand side of the chart, I am looking for validation of that to then align myself with a lower time frame setup in the retracement to then invalidate for the PD array on the left-hand side of the chart. So in this instance, I don't need to wait for this 5-minute to inverse. What I would prefer is the 5-minute bullish PD array, because I'm long bias, to validate to then take a even lower time frame setup for my long. As you can see here, 5-minute BISI gets traded to, in which we create a 1-minute fair value gap to provide us a long setup. What I really liked about this long setup here is that we created an internal low within that 5-minute SIBI while creating the 5-minute BISI that we rated here. So anyone who longed early on this setup got taken out here if they had their stop loss too tight. So we provide a bullish confirmation with the closure above and expansion through on the 5-minute BISI. We raid this internal low, taking out all the early longs, and then we invalidate this bearish PD array, which would be the last line of defense if we were going to trend down to the downside. As you can see here, we got closure above the 1-minute inverse, validating the 5-minute bullish PD array, and then more expansion higher. For those of you guys that are concerned with or want to study my executions, here's exactly how they looked on this trade. My entry comes along with closure above this fair value gap. Yes, my entry did come a little bit higher than this, but I'm not concerned with that. My first profit target that I was looking for was this 1020 high to get ran. That is the most recent internal buy side that I'm looking at within this 5-minute leg. And then followed by that was this 930 high. As you can see here, if I'm charting NQ, I also need to keep in mind ES to take my profits when one of the 2 indices take the corresponding or not high depending on strength and weakness. I took my setup with the closure above this inverse, and my risk to reward looks something like this. I keep my risk at the bodies of candles. Given that we already rated this internal low, validated this 5-minute PD array, I would anticipate this down close candle being the last line of defense, specifically the open or the midpoint of that body. My first profit target was this internal high here that I measured to you guys. And then this was my final take profit here. So the reason why I scaled this prior to hitting that high and why it worked out in my favor is because if I chart 2 correlating assets together, NQ and ES, which provided me my SMT or my reasoning for the long setup, I'll take the high on ES for my profit target. As you can see here, I'll scan back out to the higher time frame. We had this overnight high here that I was looking for as my draw on liquidity with ES, right? ES provides an obvious range low and a range high. If the range low is rated with SMT, I would anticipate the range high to get rated next. And if we drill down to a lower time frame on ES, you can see that that high was specifically traded to 10:58 a.m. If I go back over to my executions on NQ, when did I take profit? 10:58 a.m. Did it work out in my favor? Yes. Is this what I do at almost every time? Yes. Right? So you take the leading index as far as strength to the upside in this aspect, and you take profit when the index takes that corresponding buy side or the most reasonable profit target, right? If you were to take these trade on ES, given that 5-minute BISI validating, your profit target would be here too. So I'm going to base ES off of my TP and take it on NQ. That's a nice in-depth breakdown of the trade that I took today, you guys. Beautiful delivery on that. Had to sit through quite a bit of sideways price action going into that trade. But, you know, this is where patience definitely pays you in waiting for the higher time frame fair value gap, order block, whatever that PDRA is to be engaged with, will get you aligned with the most high probability, high conviction entries, right? So I sat through all these early price runs during the morning, wasn't concerned with shorts or early longs. Then once I got that delivery to the 4-hour, given the 2 bullish S&Cs, I then found a way to get myself on side with the delivery to the upside. If you guys enjoyed the breakdown as well as the executions that I showed you from my trading day, please, please, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I'll have more videos coming out soon with some requests, some of them tailored specifically to you. If there's something you want to see from me, make sure to leave it in the comments. As always, make sure to use code BUTTERS on all of the fundeds linked below for the best available discount. You can sign up with those below if you haven't already. I appreciate you taking your time today to watch this video, to learn a little something, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Happy trading. Peace.